back again with another edition of NBC16 Sports Talk. Always great to be sitting across from Sports Director Aaron Slindy, especially this time of year.
Yes.
We got a lot going on in Oregon sports. Obviously, the Oregon women's softball team in Oklahoma City vying for their shot at the Women's College World Series. We'll talk all about that during your sports package time.
Yes.
But during NBC16 Sports Talk, we're focused on the two baseball teams hosting regionals here this weekend. What a time to be a baseball fan in the state of Oregon.
I know, super exciting after the selection show. You know, we knew going into the selection show that Oregon and Oregon State were top 16 seeds, which means that both of them would be hosting regionals. But finding out those top then 8 national seeds, finding out that Oregon State
right on
was
the cusp of that.
the final team picked, huge for the Beavers. Talking about just how much they've traveled this year. They had 35 either neutral or road games this year and only 19 home games. So like we kind of said, they kind of rolled the dice and it ended up paying off in their favor because now they should have a shot at hosting regionals and super regionals with a great shot to go to Omaha this year.
Yeah, before we hit roll on the camera here, we're talking about that a little bit. The program had enough confidence in itself, knowing that they are this nationally renowned baseball program to take on all those road games, take on some tough opponents, to build their resume to get right here to this moment. That's got to be very exciting for the Beavers to know that their destiny is right in front of them if they'd like it.
Yeah, and I think that definitely being back in Goss Stadium, which is a very hostile environment, especially in the postseason, I think all of their all 3-game series this weekend are sold out. So it's going to be an electric atmosphere no matter what game is going on and who Oregon State is facing. But they are going to face St. Mary's in the first round. So got to get through that St. Mary's game on Friday first, then figuring out kind of where to go from there. They have some good teams also that are traveling. TCU, which is also a really significant program that has also seen some success in baseball. So really cool to host some marquee teams, not just Oregon State, but also Oregon too.
Yeah, so what's in front of them? They've got an opportunity to win, obviously, through their regionals. They've got super regionals on the everything laying in front of the Beavers right now. What do you think their confidence level is going into this point in the year? At least at home. You talked about their 35 road games. Now everything else, if it goes the right way, is in Goss Stadium. Yeah,
and I definitely think that the team would agree that this season has been far from perfect. They've had a lot of road bumps, including the 4 games that they lost to Oregon at PK and then even at Goss Stadium.
It's not the way you write it up when you're a Beaver baseball program.
But that's what baseball is about, is being able to come back and handle adversity and go on the road and continue to improve and get better and really be peaking at the right time. Because even, you have that national 8th seed, talking with the team yesterday, they were just saying how much they know that the target is on their back. Not just this weekend, but next weekend too. Whatever team comes to Goss Stadium is trying to beat them. So I definitely think being able to rely back on that experience that they got facing some tough teams during the regular season, even if they had to travel to go face them, relying on that experience and knowing that they can face adversity and come back, I think has put them in a really, really good position. I'm really excited to see how their offense does. I definitely think they have a really talented pitching staff, a young pitching staff as well, too.
So how do they handle the moment?
Exactly, and I think they've done a really good job of handling that responsibility. So I definitely think that this team is hungry to make it on to Supers and Omaha, but not just go to Omaha, but to win it.
As a big Red Sox fan, I always harken back to a Curt Schilling quote after the 04 ALCS. He said it's hard to go into Yankee Stadium and win baseball games, but once you quiet those 50,000 fans, all of a sudden the momentum's at your side. So hopefully, for the Beavers' sake, they can keep that offensive momentum rolling. But that's not the only regional happening along the I-5 corridor, if you will. Corvallis tucked off a little touch, but Oregon hosting as well. Now, not with the opportunity to host a super regional because they're outside of that top 8, but hosting a couple games at PK Park, getting ready for the regional. What's the outlook for them? Who they got in that first round matchup
when you look
tonight?
At Oregon softball, they weren't supposed to host a super regional either. And then Liberty upset the top overall seed in the NCAA softball tournament, so you never know what could happen. The most important thing is handling business in weekend 1 in regionals. 3 other tough opponents going on. But I definitely think Oregon's loss to Nebraska in the Big Ten tournament was a good, I guess, bump for them to face heading into the postseason. No, it's kind of like win or die. You kind of have to figure out what you need to do in order to win. I think Grayson Grinsell was on the mound for that game, didn't throw his best game, but I think he's ready to be back at home, this time with the crowd behind him cheering for him. I definitely think, talking to Mark Wasikowski, the Ducks head coach, they saw on TV when they were at the Big Ten tournament how much the fans had an impact
Sure.
in Oregon's success moving on to the Women's College World Series, and he's expecting that same atmosphere at PK Park this weekend that pretty much forced Oregon to win.
I know some of the NBC16 crew was in the crowd of that game
Yeah.
at the Jane,
Electric.
making a ton of noise and hoping to propel Oregon women successfully so through to the Women's College World Series. So hopefully we can fill the stands at PK Park as well, which, by the way, was featured on MLB's Instagram account for being such a nice facility. So
Yeah.
a little extra pat on the back for the Oregon baseball program. But what do you think the team's energy and like you talked about, they went through that adversity against Nebraska. You talked about the Oregon State Beavers peaking at the right time as the idea. Do you think they've had enough time to shake off that loss and then, peak at the right time coming tonight?
I mean, in the last 3 series that have been at PK Park, Oregon has swept those series.
Yeah, including Oregon State.
Yes, and so I definitely think that Oregon is comfortable playing at home. I think the fans have done a really good job. There's been many sellout crowds for Oregon State, Washington, UCLA. They were able to win in a really tough series. So I definitely think that the crowd is going to show up and have a big impact, but also just to think about the returning players in the lineup. Jacob Walsh, Mason Neville, even some players that they've gotten back from injury, Carter Rowdy, Chase Megers, that are really thriving right now offensively. I mean, this Oregon offense is extremely hard to stop. If I was a pitcher on the mound for the other team, I would be pretty terrified. So I definitely think that their offense is going to be, I think, steady throughout the regional, but I definitely
What's the pitching going to do?
Yes, exactly. And I think this young pitching staff has grown so much throughout the year that I think now, even though they're young, they have that experience to rely on, and they've made those mistakes, and there's been bumps in the road that they've grown from, and kind of shown that they can be a consistent team that can be a staff that essentially propels them into super regionals and can be a contender for punching their ticket to Omaha. So I'm excited to see how they do. I'm excited to see the atmosphere and the crowd, and just to see the team play like we've seen them play all year at PK Park.
Is Oregon a baseball state? What's going on? A diamond sports state. You got softball going to already in Oklahoma City. You got 2 baseball programs with a chance to stamp their tickets here coming in the next few weeks. What a time to be a fan of baseball and softball here in the state of Oregon.
And since I've been here and since you've been here, it really has been a drought. Like, you know, thinking about, Oregon, I definitely think are 2 programs, both on the softball and baseball side.
Post Mike White, it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah, exactly. They've been working towards this moment. I definitely think that of all the years that I've been here, they are in the best position right now to punch their ticket to the World Series and really play for a national championship. Whereas Oregon State, that has been the standard. Like, they were thinking all season long, like, our goal is to get back to Omaha.
College
we haven't been. They were beat in the Super Regionals in Corvallis a couple years ago. So, they have their sights set on we are not just making it to Omaha, but our standard is to go there and to win it. So I definitely think that it's going to come down to which teams execute, which teams are able to find offense when they need it, and which pitching staffs are able to control the game. Because also you think about these now brackets and 3-game series that are going on in super regionals. If you burn through your pitching staff in that first game, you're really leaving limited arms then for those next games after that. So I definitely think we saw that in softball. Stacey Chambers was able to come in and handle business when Lindsey Grind had to take on a lot of strain throughout the entire weekend. And I think that's what it comes down to is, can you get the runs when you need them, and can your pitching staff handle that strain and be able to come back and close out games? So
football who? I don't even know her. Next time on NBC16 Sports Talk, we'll talk about what's happening in those super regionals with or without our teams here from the great state of Oregon. We'll be back next week with more NBC16 Sports Talk. Thanks, Aaron.